I call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Public Works this Tuesday, October 11th of 2022. First up, we have messages from board members. Do we have any messages from the board today? All right, no messages from the board. Next up, we have petitions and remonstrances. If anyone would like to make a public comment about something that is not on the agenda this evening, now is the opportunity to do so. If you're on Zoom, please use the chat function or the raised hand function to let us know. If you're in person, of course, you can approach.
I'll just let you know, as of now, we have no public on Zoom that's not actually in the room too. So unless you hear otherwise, we'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good. All right, seeing none. Next up is Title VI enforcement, abatement at 304 North Hopewell Drive.
Hi, I'm Maria McCormick from HAND for 304 Hopewell. We are asking for a continuous abatement for trash at this property.
I know you have photos in the packet. When was the last time that you were past the property?
Yesterday morning.
Okay, it was still substantially
It was still,
the same
it
condition?
looks pretty much the same. They've cut some trees, they've added some stuff, moved stuff around, but it looks much like the pictures look from the packet.
And I assume then no conversation with the property owner or family since we met yesterday?
I have not had any conversation with them, no, and I don't believe anybody else in the department has.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions on this item? I take it we don't have anyone on Zoom still, and the property owner is not in the audience, is that correct? Or tenant?
No, I think we believe that the property owner is in a state of transition with an estate and such.
Okay.
Yeah, the owner actually is deceased and her adult children are living in the house now.
Okay.
And in vehicles in the yard.
Are there any public comments on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the abatement at 304 North Hopewell Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Can we had asked that it be continuous, and I'd like for the motion to include that as well.
Sure.
If we could, please.
Absolutely. So I move that we approve a continuous abatement at 304 North Hopewell Drive.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Sorry, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up is the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda is the approval of minutes for September 27th, 2022. Resolution 2022-79, renew mobile vendor Cup of Joy. Outdoor lighting service agreement with Duke Energy for East 10th Street between Walnut and Indiana, Phase 1. Service agreement with Tabor Bruce Architecture and Design, Inc. for design and inspection services. Supplement number 1 to 2022 HFI HVAC service agreement. Supplement number 2 to 2022 HFI plumbing service agreement, and approval of payroll. Do we have any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? Seeing none, and still no one on Zoom. All right. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve tonight's consent agenda for the meeting October 11, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next up, under new business, we have Resolution 2022-80 to uphold order to remove or repair at 1635 North College Avenue.
Mike Arnold, Housing and Neighborhood Development. This is the old Colorado Steakhouse building. We did a drive-by here on August 24th, and the building was in considerable disrepair. A lot of removal, and looked like some areas where they were expanding or adding on to the building. We thought it was in a condition that we would do orders to remove if the city was going to get involved. The owner's representative, excuse me, the owner's representative contacted me and said they're interested in still rebuilding the structure. So we changed this to be in order to remove or repair, so that if the city gets involved and it's still in the state it's in, then they can move ahead with removal instead of repair. And we need the boards to uphold the resolution for the removal part of the order.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Have they offered any kind of timeline on when they think that they will have a more secure structure, if their plan is?
We've asked for a timeline with the deadline, I believe, of October 15th to get the deadline, and we have not received it yet.
Any other questions? Is the property manager owner available today? No. Are there any public comments on this item?
Nope.
Thanks. Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 2022-80 to uphold the order to remove or repair at 1635 North College Ave.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up is contract with Tool Design Group LLC for College Avenue and Walnut Street corridor study.
Hi, I'm Beth Rosenbarger with the Planning and Transportation Department. Here to request approval for a contract with Tool Design Group LLC for a corridor study of College and Walnut. To make this contract, we issued a request for information that was out for approximately 6 weeks, or open for about 6 weeks. We received 7 submittals. We reviewed those submittals using the rubric that we included in the RFI, and then proceeded to interview 2 firms. And from that process, we selected Tool Design Group for this contract. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions on this item? I had a couple questions, and I apologize since I missed the work session yesterday. Some of this may have been discussed then, so I apologize if it's a little bit redundant. But has the City of Bloomington worked with Tool on any projects like this, like a study project in the past?
Yes. Tool Design Group was a firm selected to conduct the city's transportation plan. So similar, larger in scope, or a broader project, I would say.
Okay, so the recent transportation plan, that was the same contract, but the same contractor was Tool?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. Are there any representatives from Tool on the present or on the call?
No, I didn't think to ask them, so sorry about that.
Okay. Questions I had that are staff related is how will the implementation, since the study is intended to result in an implementation plan to be implemented, how will the implementation be funded?
I would say first, we don't know. The purpose of the study is to come up with a conceptual redesign of College and Walnut, and we don't yet know how much that implementation would cost because we don't have a set conceptual design yet. So we don't have a funding source for how we would implement it. We're pretty hopeful about some of the new federal funding becoming available, and would really look to leverage other options if this was something the city was ready to move forward with.
And the study is supposed to take place over the course of 2023, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or parts of it would start now, the research side of it, outreach, and other elements, and then and we would want it to be concluded by the end of 2023.
Okay. And so, kind of along similar lines, but not related to funding, what would be the process for working on that implementation, like, you know, I know everything is kind of general with these contracts because sometimes, you know, details change and plans are adjusted throughout the process, but there's a lot of conversation about like the stakeholders that are going to be involved during the process of the study, and I'm just wondering what that looks like from a staff perspective within the city. So throughout the process of the study, and then as they prepare for implementation, what do you anticipate being the city staff engagement on the whole process, the study and the implementation?
And sorry, to clarify, do you mean kind of as city staff, how will we reach out and engage stakeholders in the community, or do you mean internal?
Internal, yeah.
Oh, okay. Internally, as stakeholders, we will have an internal project management team, and then beyond that, we will have like a larger group that I will manage of reaching out to say, this is where we are in the process, this is what it looks like to engage at this phase, and here's the information and how to get back to us on the internal side of it.
Okay. Are there other, I don't want to monopolize it with all my questions, sorry. You all may have already. Was Tool here yesterday, or were they not?
No.
Okay. And when is this set to begin, the study?
Whenever the contract is approved and then signed. So that would mean we can't do the notice to proceed at that point, and once it begins, we would start doing internal work, doing the data gathering that we provide to the consultants, and starting to reach out to stakeholders as well as nail down dates. So we want to be able to announce meeting dates so that as we reach out to stakeholders and members of the community, we can give them, you know, generally the goals of the project, but also here's what will be coming down the line, and here's how we are hoping to engage together.
So if Tool was the organization that was contracted with for the transportation study, they had a set of recommendations for that study to develop the transportation plan, acknowledging that this corridor, they had a recommendation for the corridor, and they said it needed to be studied. I'm curious, and this would be a question I would ask them if I had the opportunity. I'm curious about a process that comes from a place of having had a recommendation, but then proceeding with a study, like how they're going to handle that process.
I can answer how we're handling it, and in terms of what we've outlined in the process and in the contract. We're working from a goals-based design. So as a community and in the transportation plan, there's a list of things that we want to achieve by doing a corridor study and a conceptual design of our streets. So we want to bring people together and talk about, if we look at different design options, how do each of those measure up to these goals and to what we want to achieve as a community. So our focus is on how can a design get to the outcomes we want to see for these streets as a community.
Were those the same goals that they were working from during the transportation plan?
I would say they're generally similar because it's based on the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan has set goals for transportation in our community. Obviously, that's a plan that is reviewed and voted on by the Plan Commission and then City Council, and the transportation plan is the same. So Tool Design did make a recommendation for College and Walnut, and that recommendation was changed by the Plan Commission. And the Plan Commission drafted and wrote the goals for a corridor study to achieve. And those were amended into the plan.
Adam's watching the gears in my head, like trying
I've
to
been
process.
through these meetings with you for 6 years now. I know how your brain works.
So there has been input, say from the Plan Commission, that changed the information that Tool presented in the transportation plan. So they're not necessarily just studying the same goals, the same document that they were. There has been some addition or change by the Plan Commission in the goals written in.
Yeah, so the wording of the plan changed. The set recommendation for College and Walnut, years ago at this point, the community discussion was, would we recommend restoring two-way travel to College and Walnut? And then it changed from that recommendation, which was led by Tool Design Group, to doing a corridor study, and a corridor study addressing particular goals that are outlined in the transportation plan. And that wording came from the Plan Commission, a Plan Commission member who drafted the amendment, and that was amended into the plan. And that is what we used to form, it was written into the RFI, the goals, and what we're looking to achieve with a conceptual design of the streets.
Okay. I remember the recommendations, and I did not remember that it was a representative from Tool, so I might be misremembering this part of the transportation plan process. But I do remember when it was presented at some point in one of the meetings that the representative said they would recommend reverting those roadways, but a study would be needed. Like that, I just remember that being the sort of comment around that. So if that was a representative of Tool, which I admit I honestly don't know for sure, but if they were the ones conducting that process, then I'm just, it sounds to me like they also recommended the study. The Plan Commission then sort of codified that in the plan, that they wouldn't move forward with just the recommendation. They did want to do the study. I'm just having kind of a hard time understanding, though, the approach that's going to happen where Tool is going to study this, having had made a recommendation for both sort of the result and the study, I guess.
Sure. I mean, I don't have a number offhand. Like, there are over 100 people who work for that company, but I don't know the exact number. We are working with different people and different professionals, and I think they are professionals who specialize in street design, in achieving goals and values through street design. I think there's no, that doesn't mean it has to happen one way. So I think if there's a concern that there's only, because this is the firm that did the transportation plan, there's only one answer, we don't think there's only one answer. We think we want to explore the options, have a community conversation, and look at our goals as a community and different ways to achieve those goals. So I think we feel confident in our ability to lead that and in their ability to lead that from their perspective as kind of transportation professionals, engineers, and designers. And we did have 7 submittals, and we thought they were competitive. It wasn't like, sure, we'll go with this group. It was, we were really happy with what we received, and an internal team, oh my gosh, I forget off the top of my head, maybe 5 of us reviewed internally, and then when we interviewed 2 teams, we included a couple of members of the public and a member of council in the interviews. So we definitely took this decision really seriously, and in one way knew this was, it's a challenging decision to make, but we feel really confident in their ability to lead this for our community.
Very good. Other questions? All right. I would really have liked to talk to Tool. I also admit that I wasn't able to be at the work session yesterday, and that's something that I will own. I feel confident with my colleagues, you know, and their decision going forward, but I'm going to abstain from the vote. But I will call a vote. So do we have any public comment on this item?
Hey, Kyle, and I will just offer a comment, you know, in general that, gosh, has it been 5-6 months ago that the submittals were due?
March.
It's been weighed heavily within a lot of the different team meetings I've been in, and, you know, I am confident that it was a cross-departmental team that looked at all the applications and such, so I am confident there, but I totally understand your line of questioning and just wanted to offer that comment of support too, though.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I feel confident in the city's ability to review those as well. I think I had a couple questions that I would have liked to just hear from Tool, and so I feel like I'm missing that piece of information. It's, you know.
Absolutely perfect.
I'll add, if you still wanted, even though it wouldn't be in time for this, to email the questions, I'd be happy to get in touch with somebody to get those answers for you.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
All right, so no public comment? Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Nope.
All right. Is there a motion on this item?
I move that we approve the contract with Tool Design Group LLC for College Avenue and Walnut Street corridor study.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, 2 with 1 abstention. Thank you. All right, next up is change order number 2, number 3, and number 4 for the Neighborhood Greenways project.
Good evening, this is Sarah Gomez with the Engineering Department. This Neighborhood Greenways project was awarded to Rivertown Construction LLC. The contract included installation of ADA ramps, concrete curbs, asphalt speed cushions, pavement markings, and signage. The original contract amount was $439,876.10. I'm here to ask today for approval for change order number 2, 3, and 4. Change order number 2 is a request from the contractor to add pavement marking installation on East 7th Street for a total contract adjustment of $7,000. This item was not part of the original contract and was to be completed by the City Street Department. So their subcontractor inadvertently completed those. Change order number 3 is a request from the contractor for an extension of the contract by 4 days, as they went over the contract by 4 days due to weather delays. And change order number 4 is a balance of all the pay items and on the contract for an addition of $1,286.66 to the project total. The change orders will add a total of $8,286.76 to the contract, and the total adjusted contract amount is $448,162.76. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Any public comment on this item? All right, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the change orders number 2, 3, and 4 for the Neighborhood Greenways project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up is Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Bloomington Utilities Department for construction cost sharing on the West Allen Neighborhood Greenway project.
Good evening, Neil Copper with the Engineering Department. In coordination with the West Allen Street Neighborhood Greenway project, the City of Bloomington Utilities Department is interested in installing green infrastructure stormwater treatments. The MOU before you outlines the commitment by CBU to pay for the portion of the project that is associated with the installation of that green infrastructure. The total costs are estimated at $30,000, but would be based on actual bid prices. Construction is planned to occur in 2023. Both departments have reviewed the MOU and are supportive, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions on this item?
What is green infrastructure in this case?
In this case, it would be a rain garden. So water would flow into a contained area. It would, settle into the soil or, take out nutrients, that kind of thing. It would be planted with native plants. Yeah.
Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the Memorandum of Understanding with the City of Bloomington Utilities Department for construction cost sharing on the West Allen Neighborhood Greenway project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up is request from AEG for lane and sidewalk closures.
Jason Kerr with Engineering. I'm here tonight to bring 4 right-of-way permits for AEG to present to the board. We're continuing to get more permits each week. This is a continuation of the citywide fiber project that'll possibly go through the first quarter of 2025. The 4 permits for this evening is 1 including East 3rd Street, 1 North Glenwood Avenue, 1 with East Maxwell Lane, 1 with South Woodcrest Drive. There will be lane closures and sidewalk closures in different areas of the work as the work progresses in these areas, of course. There are no full road closures. The MOTs appear to be in order as well. Engineering sees that these should go forward.
Thank you. Questions on this item? Any public comment on this item? Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the request from AEG for lane and sidewalk closures.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next is a request from Strasser Construction for full street closure along East 19th Street from North Grant Street to North Dunn Street, October 12th, 2022 through August 8th, 2023.
Good evening. Paul Kerber with Engineering. Strasser Construction is the construction manager for a new mixed-use development on East 19th Street between North Lincoln and North Dunn Streets. This was heard at the last meeting also, but they're coming forward with a full street closure request. This will be on East 19th Street from North Grant to North Dunn. City staff met with Strasser Construction on site, and this was the best solution we came up with. Fully close the street, and then there will be a pedestrian walk around using North Grant to 18th, which will put pedestrians at a marked crosswalk that leads right to the IU bus shelter. We reviewed the MOT plans, and this would be in place from this approval until August 8th of 2023. And they also mentioned that they would open it on the Saturdays of home IU football games. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks. Questions on this item?
This isn't a question, but as we said yesterday, just really appreciate you all working together and all the parties on an improved solution for that area. Thanks.
Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the request from Strasser Construction for a full street closure along East 19th Street from North Grant Street to North Dunn Street from October 12th, 2022 to August 8th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next up is request from Strasser Construction for right-of-way use on East 9th Street from October 10th, 2022 to January 6th, 2023.
Paul Kerber with Engineering again. Strasser Construction will be replacing a retaining wall and sidewalk for a project for Indiana University. The project address is 419 North Indiana Avenue with all the work just west of that on East 9th Street. They'll be installing a pedestrian walk-around within the parking lane. And so they'll have the pedestrian route through that, and the work is planned for October 12th until January 6th of 2023. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions on this item?
I just want to note also something that we talked about yesterday in the right-of-way use permit application. The date that Strasser listed ends in January 2022. Just making sure we all know it says January. It's meant for January 2023.
Thanks. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the request from Strasser Construction for right-of-way use on East 9th Street from October 10th, 2022 to January 6th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's see. Next up is contract with TAPCO for no turn on red sign project.
Adam Wason on behalf of the street department. And so we solicited quotes for a project to add no turn on red signs throughout the downtown overlay district, and this, we received two responses, one from Regal Inc. for $55,100 and one from TAPCO for $44,840. We're seeking to award this contract to TAPCO with not to exceed of $44,840.
Questions on this item? Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the request with TAPCO for the no turn on red sign project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, next up is staff reports and other business.
Just a couple of brief reports. I wanted to note that we did get our scooter enforcement folks out on the streets over the last week or so, and they've been out documenting any improperly parked scooters. You may have seen also that the mayor's office made an announcement that they are going to be instituting an 11 p.m. cutoff on scooter use for the time being while we get some more information throughout the winter months and see where that heads. One thing I did want to highlight today, though, is we had a really great meeting with the team, the leadership team over at Centerstone. I think most of the board members are aware we've got a great partnership through Public Works and Centerstone on the Brighton B-Town program. And it was just really pretty amazing to hear from their team some of the results that that's having with their clients and how they're moving them to housing, how they're you know, it's really helped on the road to recovery, things like that, to have that employment opportunity, and just wanted to highlight that. We're really proud of their efforts. Those folks, they concentrate mostly on downtown cleanup type projects, working in the neighborhoods as well, but you know, looking to not only move beyond, I think we're on a daily basis in Public Works, having about 10 individuals that participate, looking to double that in 2023 as part of our budget request, but we've also identified some funding for the latter part of the year to possibly bring on another 10 for at least the rest of this year as well. So just something we're proud of, and those efforts just, I walk around the downtown a whole lot in my job, and I see the results. And you know, every weekend there's a new mess to clean up on Kirkwood, but you know, we get to it as quickly as we can, and really appreciate all of their help. So we'll continue to be promoting that as well, just generally. So otherwise, that's all I have for you today.
Thanks. Next up is approval of claims. Are there any questions on claims? Any public comment on claims, although it's starting to feel very lonely, maybe both virtually and here in real
Pretty
life.
empty house at this point.
All right, seeing none, is there a motion on claims?
I move that we approve claims in the amount of $2,057,931.91.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And if there's nothing else, then I will call for adjournment.
Thank you much.